recognize the representative from New Mexico, Ms. Ledger Fernandez.
Thank
You have 5 minutes.
Yes, thank you so much, Chairman Tiffany and Ranking Member Neguse. And thank you both, Director Sams and Director Bloodsworth, for being here. You know, I am very excited about the Outdoors, Great American Outdoors Act, because it is indeed a great America, and that we are investing in that which belongs to all Americans, which are our public lands, right? And our beautiful parks. In New Mexico, you know, as you know, our delegation was a big supporter of the Great American Outdoors Act because we knew it was going to help us conserve and restore the many public lands and sites in New Mexico. The Legacy Restoration Fund is going to help our parks and features just become more resilient and more enjoyable. You know, I love reading about how happiness, what are the ingredients of happiness? And a key ingredient is being outdoors, is being with nature. And we know that too many of our children, our school children, don't get to enjoy that. And so part of what this fund is doing is making it possible for us to get everybody outside, enjoying what is theirs. The Legacy Restoration Fund is important to New Mexico because it's helping repair the Wild Rivers Backcountry Byway, which is important for the Rio Grande del Norte National Monument in Taos County. I've spent many a moment finding my happiness up in Taos County. It's also at Bandelier, which represents both a connection between what was there and came before and our ability to now sit and wonder about it. Whether you're looking at the beavers, we have beavers moving in there, which is important for wildland, or climbing those stairs into the ancient kivas. So that's the kind of work that we are seeing in New Mexico, which is key. You know, the fact that there is so much deferred maintenance and that's taking us so long to get to all of the beautiful places we identify in our states, like we just heard on the dais up here, is because we haven't been paying attention to it, right? Too many of our facilities are falling apart. Director Sams, could you describe to us the steps that and the Park Service is taking to partner with local communities and businesses on this Great American Opportunity funding? Because I think that's the other piece of it, that this is an economic opportunity for those local communities that we've heard on both sides of the aisle talk about when we want our places restored.
Thank you, Congressman. I appreciate that. We just most recently held our leadership council meeting in Albuquerque, and I was visiting with the Albuquerque Parks Director and the number of projects we've already done with the city of Albuquerque and throughout the state. First and foremost, you know, all our major projects involve stakeholder engagement, including the local communities, as part of the public review process and through NEPA. Our superintendents and staff in the field are actively engaged with their local gateway communities, listen to community concerns, and communicate about project impacts. Parks and superintendents maintain active and robust consultation with tribes who have an affiliation with the respective park units, and many of our projects are contracted with local small businesses. And it's extremely important, and I impress upon that with my superintendents, that we have to get outside the park and go visit our gateway communities and go beyond that and visit our tribal partners and go beyond that to visit the surrounding community that we also need their support from and where we have a symbiotic relationship.
Right, and I think that really is the key, is the park isn't sitting outside of the community. The park is part of the greater community. I'm glad you mentioned tribes. Could you talk a little bit more about the co-stewardship of federal lands with tribes that you're pursuing? What's your vision on that?
My vision overall is ensuring that where tribes have been here for thousands of years, they have an opportunity to use indigenous knowledge to help us in how we maintain. As we heard earlier, there's been a lot of mismanagement around forest lands throughout the West. We've all seen, from New Mexico to my own home state of Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, the massive fires that we've had to deal with. For thousands of years, tribes had used prescribed burn to ensure that we wouldn't have these mass conflagrations. And we're finally being able to bring that knowledge with tribes around co-stewardship and co-managing these spaces in federal, state, and tribal lands so that we can deal with such elements as this, including invasive species. Every LRF project is an opportunity to strengthen our relationship with our tribes, not just through required consultation, but through continued conversations on how we care for these special places that we all love so much. Depending on the specific project, Co-stewardship could come in the form of incorporation of tribal traditional ecological knowledge, collaborating with tribes on how to tell indigenous stories when updating our exhibits, tribal involvement through cooperative agreements or self-governance contracts that relate to the projects being completed also.
Thank you so very much. And I think the issue of how do you tell the stories of these places coming from those who emerged and for whom it is still a living place is important. So thank you for that work. Mr. Chair, I yield back.